Welcome back into another episode of the Coach Steve Show, where today we're going to talk about the mesh concept of tags that you can run off of mesh. So if you run mesh and you're looking for different tags to add to your routes, this is going to be the episode for you. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button on the YouTube channel, follow and rate on Apple and iTunes. Try to get those numbers growing. Check out all the other videos. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. So we're going to get into today's episode. We're going to talk about just quickly traditional mesh, but then we're going to talk about the tags that you can do off of mesh when they start to take the mesh away and different variations of it. So let's get into talking about mesh and the different tags that you could do off of it. So remember, meshes where they're not necessarily looking at the traditional mesh, you could run, they're looking more for things on the outside. So real quick, we're not going to go through the entire mesh. We're going to draw it very quickly. If you're in our air raid terminology, we are in our ace, which is our 2x2. If you're in your doubles, your spread, X, H, Y, Z, everybody off the line, and our 10 personnel with one running back. Remember, if you want to do Mike Leach's way, the outside receivers, they run about these corner routes. Some run them as a capped out. And then the inside, the Y sets the mesh at about 5 to 6 yards, gets down to the towards the sideline. His is F, but I'm going to go H. He comes underneath. If it's a zone, they sit. If it's man, they keep going. The running back can run the swing route, or we can run that arrow route. And they're looking at the softest corner to try to look at that corner route, or some coaches run more of a capped out. This is the way Mike Leach would do it if he did Hal Mummy. He had choice routes. He had the mesh guys able to get upfield vertically. So it just depends on what you want. But for the sake purposes, this is the easy way. So let's talk about a different way to run mesh. There's a couple different ways. That's the main one. Some people love to have the outside vertical for the outside receivers because it makes it easier to tag. The mesh still stays the same with your YH or your YF, still a swing route or that arrow route that your running back can still run. The reason why people sometimes have outside vertical releases is because in high school ball, you want to take that shot, you get a pass interference, maybe you'll get one. And this too high, you may not throw this, but in high school football, when you start doing this, we're going to get into a 1 high because right now we're seeing a 3-4 defense. If you're watching the video, this will get you the shot that you need to do. And to some people, it's just way easier to tag. Talking about the shallow concept and the tags off of that, which we'll talk about in a different one. So if you run verticals on the outside, this is already a different way to run mesh. Now, what tags could we possibly be talking about? Well, you keep running mesh, they're sitting or anything like that. They're eventually going to start going to a 1 high. They could bring in another lineman, or they're going to start just playing man concepts, but they're going to have a robber. Or, if you keep running mesh and they are in a 2 high and the safeties keep dropping down and the guy in the box is telling you, hey, they're dropping down, they're dropping down, they're dropping down. One simple tag that you could do is just, hey, we're going to run mesh Z post. So instead of running a vertical route, he's going to run either that skinny post or he's going to run more an angle, not quite a dig yet, but we can run the skinny post or any type of post because, hey, that strong safety's coming down, the strong safety's coming down. So it's a 1 high, hey, they're cheating more this way towards that swing route because they're trying to cover the mesh and that. So you have the opposite side run that post route that you need to do. So if they cheat more than one side, if you don't want the Z to run the post and they're cheating on the other side, then you could say, okay, we're still running our verticals on the outside, and you want to have your X run the post. Hey, that weak side safety or that safety is more cheating, whichever way. You could have him run. That's a terrible post drawing. I apologize if you're watching the video. You could run that post right behind it. So that's why some people have the verticals automatically, and you could have those type of tags with it. So let's get into another tag that you could do. So instead of having them run outside verticals, you could still have the capped outs and the corner routes, and you could still tag exactly off of that. People just feel that verticals are easier. If you run the capped out and you say, hey, we're going to run mesh, but we're going to run X post, your Z is still running the capped out. And then when you tag something, especially in air raid, the read and mesh becomes the softest corner to swing to mesh because the mesh takes a little bit to develop. So that's the read. When you tag something, the tag takes over that first read because you're telling them, hey, this is what should be happening. You're going to take a glance at that, so that overtakes that. So if you're running a capped out and you say, okay, we're going to run mesh X post. Well, he's going to run the post. Well, instead of looking at softest corner to swing to mesh, now he's going to glance over to post. And depending on how long that takes, it could go back to swing, back to mesh. And that's really hard to do. So I would say post to mesh, because if it's not there, it could be some type of zone concept. And so hopefully your guys are going to sit and show their hands. So that's a different type of tag that you could do. Another one that you could do, no matter if you have your outside guys run a vertical or if they're running their capped out, you could get that drive concept. The drive concept is that shallow and a dig behind it. You can get that in this mesh. So if you still want this outside release, so if you wanted to say, hey, if you're saying, hey, the safeties are coming down on this mesh, instead of running quite the post, we could run a dig right behind it because the safety's bailing. So let's just say, hey, they went to a one high. They're coming down really hard on this mesh. They're really coming down hard on the swing route. Your X is still running that outside release. Say, okay, we're going to run mesh, Z dig, and he's going to run a dig route, and it's still going to be that shallow concept where if it's man, they continue to run, that square in towards the sideline. If it's a zone, going to turn and sit and show hands. That, again, overtakes the first read. So in this particular case, if you said we're going to run mesh, Z dig, you're going to look at the dig to the swing to the mesh because it's all on one side. It makes it easy for the quarterback. Why would you call this? Well, if in a one high system, if they drop down here, you check back because that vertical is going to be pre-snap. Pre-snap, we're checking that vertical. So as soon as that ball is snapped, he sees that over towards the dig. Because the dig is the first read, he already knows, okay, now I can throw the vertical. It's taken away. But what if you've hit that vertical once or twice? Now the safety's in the middle, but as soon as that ball snapped, he's looking towards dig. Well, that safety he glances over is gone, and he's just disappeared. Hopefully the dig would be there. That's why you have the ability to tag the post on there. Those are just different tags depending on, you're really looking at the outside linebackers to the safeties. What do they do? In air raid terms, what do they do? You're always looking at outside linebacker, flat defender to those safeties and then what exactly they're doing. These are simple tags that you could have with your mesh. And nothing really changes. They're learning either their capped out that you want to do. They're learning their vertical route already that they're doing for most of everything. Now you're just teaching them, hey, we're going to run a dig concept. But guess what? If you have your shallow, you already know the dig. And the beauty is, if you just tag the two outside guys, your inside guys are always running their mesh. If you only tag the outside guys, you can most certainly tag the inside guys and say, hey, Z, you're going to run the mesh. Y, you're going to do something different. To me, that's way too difficult. But if you're just tagging the outside, this could really help open up some things because then they start worrying about the dig. You get back to your normal routes, whether it's capped out, the vertical. So this really helps open up those things for you guys. They are just very simple tags for the mesh. And there's your simple tags for the mesh. It's mainly our outside receivers. You still could tag the inside receivers to do whatever you need them to do. But this is just a very simple way to tag the outside guys, still running the mesh on the inside. And again, you could start mesh off as outside verticals, the capped out. Maybe you still automatically want to do that drive concept so you could tag everything else. However you want to do it, just make sure that the tags that you're doing are routes that are already in any other plays or concepts that you have in your playbook. So that way the kids aren't learning something brand new that they have to run. And if you keep it simple to maybe only one tag, maybe two tags, you don't have to use all these tags. Pick one that's more comfortable with you. You keep the one or two tags. Your kids are literally learning one to maybe two things tops. It's the same play and the same concept, but it's going to look completely different to the defense. So that wraps up this episode for the mesh and the tags. Please like and subscribe to YouTube channel. Follow it right on Apple and iTunes. Check out all the other videos. Check out the affiliate description below. Leave a comment in the comment section down below as well. Thank you guys again for watching and or listening, and we will see you guys next time.